Alright guys, well, I'm going to see the Power Rangers movie with my dad in a little bit, so wish me luck, you know, keeping my fingers crossed. Not too hopeful. We'll see. We'll see what I think, and I'll let you guys know in a little bit.
2 hours later.
You gotta go see this movie. So we're on our way to see the Power Rangers movie, me and my dad, and so as you guys know, I'm skeptical of the movie. Beavis Scott of Blimp Babs, your boy Jason, the Vlogger Rapper, and I just saw the Power Rangers movie in theaters. The first Power Rangers movie since 1997, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, and I gotta say, for 20 years of not being in theaters, and now finally being in theaters, I got a lot to say about this. Okay, so before we go any further, just want to let you know this is a non-spoilers review. I'm not going to give out any spoilers. If you like a spoilers review, let me know in the comment section below. I'd be glad to do that. But I'm not going to spoil any major plot points. I may reference a few things, and you'll just have to go see the movie for yourself to know what I mean when I say certain things. I want to say this. This is definitely not your 90s Power Rangers, and we already knew that because when they casted different people for the roles of the different characters, you knew this was not going to be the same Jason, the same Zach, the same Billy, Trini, or Kimberly in that matter. This is a new team that represents a new generation of the Mighty Morphin brand. This is the Mighty Morphin brand from the 90s series, but this is a total reimagining of it. Me, as a purist, you know, I'd make it like, I don't know, if you guys know the original Star Trek team, like James T. Kirk and his crew, when they made the reboot movies in recent years, they casted characters that looked, and they made them look like the original cast from the old show. I would have preferred to have a cast that looked a lot like the 90s cast, either through makeup or whatever, but they didn't, and they had their own unique personalities, so, you know, it wasn't the same people. You know, in the 90s show, Kimberly was a gymnast. She's not a gymnast in this one. In fact, all 5 Rangers in the movie here are troublemakers. I mean, they all legitimately have done bad things, but they're not bad people. So it creates a deeper dynamic and gives new meaning to the phrase
teenagers with attitude.
In the 90s show, when Zordon asked Alpha to recruit a team of teenagers with attitude, I mean, these guys were just a bunch of karate, kicking, chopping people with probably minute little attitude problems. But these guys, in the 2017 version, they got some real big attitudes. I mean, they are definitely your millennial crowd, and that's not a bad thing, because one thing I will give credit for with this movie is that they dive deeper into the backgrounds of each character. Now, it's not all in depth. Some of it's just highlighted, some of it is hinted at, but overall you definitely see that there's more depth to each of the 5 characters, not just Jason because he's the leader. So you get to see a behind the scenes look on Kimberly, what makes her tick, what makes her a teenager with attitude. You see the same thing with Trini, Zach, Billy, and Jason. They're all unique from each other, and yet the basis of this movie is teaching them how to work together as a team, because one thing we know about Power Rangers in its essence, it's always been about a team working together. And unlike previous seasons on the TV show, this one really focuses on the teamwork aspect. But in order to focus on the teamwork aspect, you have to know your team intimately. And so that takes a big part of this movie. You know, before they are able to really be the successors in this movie, the superheroes that they're trying to be, they have to know about each other, and they have to trust each other, and they have to really build that relationship to become one as a team. And I don't think I'm spoiling any plot points. I'm just telling you this is a big emphasis in the movie, and I think it was good that they did that, because here's the thing. This team is a group of millennials. They're young kids, you know, and they're representative of the diversity in our society today. They really are. So, you know, with that in mind, I think it's a good thing that they did that, and also teaching them how those people of diversity, no matter how different they were still able to come together, united, to save the day and defend the world. I think, you know, if you look at the undertones of what this movie is trying to get across, it really worked. And let's go ahead deeper in this. Let's take a look at some of the more obvious aspects. One thing, you know, is that, you know, they wanted to emphasize the fact that this technology, the Ranger suits, the Zords, and everything, were taken from, you know, space. You know, this is alien technology, and so Zoran's an alien, Alpha's an alien, obviously. So the Ranger suits are not something that you would normally see, you know, in today's world. You wouldn't see, you know, a regular helmet and spandex. Instead, you get this weird, glowy, you know, space alien technology. You look at the Ranger suits and you think, okay, this does pass as alien armor. So they did a good job in that. Do I like it? It's growing on me. You know, I still look at the helmets and I still want to see more of the Mastodon, more of the Triceratops than the Saber-toothed Tiger. You don't really see that all that much, but you get the general idea. And so, it's a pass. Goldar! Oh my gosh. I get why Goldar is the way he is in this movie, but I'm just not a fan of it. I respect it, and it does make sense in the context of the movie. But the problem that I have is that Goldar, the name Goldar, for me, is related to a character that has a much bigger role. You know, he has a face, he talks, he's Goldar. He's prominent in the Power Rangers universe. So I would like to have seen more of that personality of the classic Goldar, or even if it's a reimagining of Goldar, a Goldar with a real personality, not the kind of Goldar that we got. So I don't know if that's a pass, but you know, I see why he is the way he is in this movie, and it does make sense. It's just not a choice that I would have preferred. Now let me tell you what really makes this movie. Rita Repulsa. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how much fun Rita was in this movie. Rita made the movie what it was. She is a real baddie. She is a real villain, and she is so much fun to watch. Every time I saw Rita in the film, I had a blast. I loved every minute that she was on screen. She really was stealing the show. Now, the Rangers, of course, when you saw them, they were phenomenal as well. But, you know, it's good because, let's be real, guys. This was an origin story. And as typical of many origin stories, you don't really see the fruition of the superhero until much later in the movie. So I'm not spoiling anything big, but I am letting you know that you don't see the Power Rangers as Power Rangers in the first 5-10 minutes. Let's just be real, okay? Maybe even longer than that, but I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just letting you know they're not showing up, you know, Jason and crew, they're not showing up in their Ranger suits right away. That being said, during that gap, anytime Rita was on screen, she was phenomenal. She was a blast. Developing her character in the movie was so much fun to watch. And then finally seeing her go toe-to-toe with the Rangers, take that much excitement, add the excitement that the Rangers themselves bring together, and add it together. It was so much fun seeing the Rangers against Rita. Anytime they shared the screen, of course, was phenomenal. So yeah, gotta give it to Rita. Rita, you're the bomb. You're my favorite female supervillain. Just seriously, favorite, all time. Gotta love it. Okay, so let's talk about the dynamic with this being its own thing that's separate from the 90s version. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say this. This movie, if you're going in thinking that this is going to bring you back to the 90s, it really isn't. You're not going to get the same Jason. You're not going to get the same Kimberly. You're not going to get the same Zach, Trini, Billy. They're all different. I mean, I think the closest one that looks like the 90s counterpart is Naomi Scott. For some reason, This may just be me, but I think Naomi Scott looks a lot like a younger Amy Jo Johnson. You know, a more modernized version of Amy Jo Johnson. She doesn't have the same hairdo or whatever, but to me, she looks very comparable to Amy Jo Johnson. They definitely are recreating those characters, you know, in a different way. So, and with them being different races, different ethnicities, like I said, their backgrounds as characters are also different from the 90s version. So, you know, all of that's been changed up. So you're going to look at this and you're not going to think, okay, this is the same 90s version. But I will say this, on top of that, even though you're not going to get that kind of nostalgia, you will get some nostalgia to some degree. What do I mean by that? They do take many opportunities to pay homage to the 90s. What do I mean by that? They respect, I guess that's a better way, they take time to respect the original series. They take time to respect it by doing a few things that you're just gonna have to see in the movie for yourself. They really give you a nod to the classic show. And if I had to say anything, they do pay homage, they do respect the original brand. With it being its own thing, I mean totally revamping it, they still took time to show respect to its original roots, and for that, I can respect it. I respect that as a Power Ranger fan, and it made me more open to this new version. So, you know, I gotta give them credit for that, and that's not the only time that they give respect to the original version. You're just gonna have to see the movie to find out what I mean by that. Okay, so if I had to give it a score between 1 to 5, 5 being awesome, 1 being horrible, I'll have to give it a 4. Definitely a 4. There are some problems with it. I think pacing was probably an issue, but you know, it makes sense because this is an origin story, and even more so, Lionsgate seems to have confirmed that they are planning 5 sequels for the movie. 5. And based on the plot for this first one, I could definitely see it. First of all, stay tuned after the first credits roll by, because there is a mid-credit scene, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you know anything about Power Rangers lore, it's a pretty obvious one. 2, one of the main plot points kind of leads you into the idea that there is definitely going to be another sequel, even beyond the obvious what may happen in movie number 2. The plot point in this first movie kind of gives you an idea that there's going to be a sequel 3 or 4, or maybe even 5, because the device that they use in this first movie sets you up for a way in the future. If you know all about Power Rangers lore, you know that what they use in this first movie sets you up for a way in the future. And that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Now, if this movie tanked, then that would have been a horrible decision, but they were very smart with it. In fact, a lot of the stuff that they have in the movie was very smart, because you do have some points where there's the essence of the Power Rangers from the TV show. You know, the humor, the quips, there's some one-liners in there. All of that's still there, but you know, it's underplayed by a lot of the modernization. And the whole purpose of this movie was to bring it to the same caliber as these, you know, dynamic superhero movies that Marvel and DC are putting out. I have to say, based on its visual appeal, based on how they structured it, it really lives up to that expectation. This is a legitimate superhero movie, up in the ranks with the Avengers, you know, the X-Men movies, and so on and so forth. So, as a Power Rangers fan, I'm really glad to see that. I'm really glad to see that this Power Rangers movie is going to be taken seriously, as much so as, you know, one of these other, you know, epic superhero movies. So, you know, bravo to them on that. With this first movie, I definitely think that they got themselves set up for a win. And so, you know, again, I say 4 out of 5 because there are some problems that I won't get into because, you know, this is not a spoilers review. I guess the main problem really is that we don't see enough. What we do see is great and it's awesome. We do get a lot of background story on the teens, but we don't see enough of other elements. I pretty much gave that away, but it would have been nice to have seen more. And again, Goldar, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Is this a family-friendly movie? Because this is a family-friendly channel. Not entirely. There was definitely a lot of kids there, but there was also a lot of adults. They did use words. I mean, this is a PG-13 movie, guys, so they did use words that if you're parents and you don't want your kids cussing, they're gonna hear a little bit of cussing. Nothing, no F-bombs really, but they came close to saying certain words, and then they also did say other certain words. So it's not the squeaky clean Power Rangers that you're used to. There is definitely, some mature content, but not so much that you'd feel very uncomfortable. Keep that in mind. Other than that, epic movie, loved it. 4 out of 5. This is coming from a guy who was dreading the movie for months, dreading it. Every decision they were making I was against, but I'm really impressed. I did enjoy myself, and I can't wait for the next one, if they come out with the next one, which pretty much they are. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Let me know what you thought. Did you like the movie or did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section below. Give me a thumbs up that helps out the channel, and subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys next time. It's Jason, the blogging rapper, and my next video I'm going to be going over it's not here right now, but I owe you guys a review on the MacBook Pro 17-inch model that I've been promising for years. So that's coming up. I'll see you guys next time. It's Jason, the blogging rapper. Much love, God bless, and as always, peace. Spark.